Well, Dr. Nachi Sinha is back with us here. How are you doing today?
Pretty well, thank you, Toby. Nice to be back,
Yes.
as
Now,
always.
chapter 5 we're at now, nearly halfway there. Water and the form it takes. And there's a story there about a friend of yours relationship, isn't there?
Yeah. This was a sort of a this came out more of in a way of explaining something to somebody, because many times in life that when we're going through life, we have to do certain things, or and sometimes these doubts creep in, and we ask ourselves like, am I doing the right thing, or is this right or wrong, and so on and so forth. So the idea that I was trying to come at in that, and it was again I was finding it kind of difficult to keep it the minimum words and explain that idea. So the analogy I could think of was that one must remember that even if you see water in the gutter, or water in the as steam or as ice, snow, whatever you want to, whatever form you see it, it's still water,
Yeah.
which means that what is coming from you is still you, in the sense that it's your thought, your idea. So if inherently you find that you consider yourself a decent, fair individual, or even though in that situation you might think that you haven't been, you got to allow yourself that benefit of doubt, knowing that it's coming from you, so it's coming from a good place. And what comes from a good place can't be bad. So the circumstances might make it look like that. And sometimes, Toby, that's how we make peace with ourselves,
Mm.
because that's important, right? I mean,
Mm.
that's how life is.
Yeah. And I suppose we've got to adapt to our circumstances, just like water
Excellent.
does.
That's an excellent point. That's exactly how it is. Like,
Mm.
based on and knowing that by that adapting, I'm not changing. So, for example, many times I come across people who say, "Well, I'm not a hypocrite." Well, this isn't about hypocrisy. This isn't like, just because water has become ice, water doesn't become a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Just because, right? I mean, and yet many people sometimes have that sort of, for example, you're talking to me right now in the way that you're talking, and I'm talking like this, right?
Mm.
Half an hour later, I'm talking to somebody else, and I could be talking completely differently.
Yeah.
So, right, does that make me a hypocrite? Does that make you a hypocrite? Not
Mm.
really. Different situations, we adapt differently. Now, if we didn't, then we'd have a bloody problem.
Yeah. And what are some of the ways that we can adapt?
So, again, it's so important to sort of keep an open mind and understand that, because to adapt, inherently, it's also about the situation that's changed. So, for example, many times you'll find that somebody's made their mind up, and you say, you're talking to them and go, well, that's what I said 10 years ago, or 2 months ago, when I am fixed, on that, and I'm true to my word, I'm going to change. And that's when you go, oh, whoa, whoa. The only thing that doesn't change is something that's dead,
Mm.
right? Because when we make up a decision or an idea, it's based on the circumstances that we're in. So
Yeah.
that, analysis, pros and cons, so on, allows us to make a plan, make an idea, and so on and so forth. Now, if the circumstances change later on, 2 years, 1 second, 2 seconds, or 5 days down the line, then I should be allowed to change my mind or
Mm.
adapt accordingly. And if we don't, then that's where the problem happens, where you find that people are fixed in their ways.
Mm. And this is another chapter which is somebody's. It's an example of somebody's experience, somebody that you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And these sometimes in the book are quite personal stories. Do you have to change the names, or are these people all right with them using your actual name?
Right. So what I've done is not use any, actual sort of names or stories, and from that perspective,
Mm.
these are small bits from, I've been practicing psychiatry medicine since when? 2000 now.
Yeah.
So, so these are different things that are there. So, but I had to use sort of fictional characters to be able to. So the idea is that, again, was that every chapter had to be independent. So, for
Mm.
example, someone could go and read chapter 4, and it would solve the problem that they were thinking about. So each chapter had to stand on its own. And
Mm.
hence, every chapter had a story, and every story needed characters. And And as you know, I'm brewing with narcissism. I had to be there.
Yeah.
So it was the other person. I had to pick a name. So they weren't even real friends. Or I guess, yeah. They're not now, definitely.
Well, that is chapter 5, Water and the Forms It Takes. Many thanks for joining us today, and see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.